All right, popping on here a couple minutes late. Let's get it going. We are live.
Closing down my 100 tabs for the day.
Yeah, well, isn't that the way it always goes, huh?
I try to keep it relatively organized. I mean, I don't know. I think just because is you have two monitors, I just have the one, but it's the big one, and so I'm like I'm organizing things side by side by side. So I feel like I look like I only have a couple tabs open, but in reality, I have three windows with multiple tabs. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I don't
been
know.
one of the biggest things for us, though. I mean, like we talk about transitioning off of a laptop. It is,
Oh, yeah.
if you work on a laptop and then you transition to like anything. I mean, even if it's like, I feel like even a one monitor setup, like with nothing else, it's crazy how much more productive you are. I feel like it's not placebo. I feel like we're actually more productive.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing how long we were working off our laptops. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Cause then you go back when you're traveling or whatever, and it's like, it's unbelievable. It's like, you're like, I can't get anything done.
I think it's really hard to focus on just working off of a laptop. I mean, once you transition into like dual monitors or tri or quad monitors, it's like just going
Yeah.
back
I
to the
mean,
laptop is crazy.
the more monitors, the more successful you are. That's everybody knows that.
Yeah, I mean, I got two 36s in front of me right now. But I told you that I'm trying to get a 72 right above them. And then I can move my workspace from the two 36s up to the 72. And then I have like, that's going to be the ultimate screen space.
Oh, but you're gonna be sitting there like this. Like, how are you? You're gonna have them above where
No,
the
it's just going
ones.
to be like slightly below the monitors or slightly above the monitors, ever so slightly. We got the gang
Like,
joining in tonight. Look at
yeah,
this.
I
Look
feel like
what
I'm
we
gonna
got
need
going
a
on.
visual on that.
We got our boy Reezy. What's
What's
going on,
up?
brother? It's nice to hear from you. We got Krubs Flips coming in on Instagram. Yes, sir.
Brad
Got
is
the gang. We got Jacob.
said Brad is transcending this three-dimensional existence with that stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing. So
We got Jacob in the house. We got the whole crew. All right, perfect. Got a question coming in here on Instagram. And by the way, guys, if you are just joining us here on this live, we go live once a week. Used to be Wednesdays, 7 o'clock. Now it's seemingly Tuesdays, 6 o'clock. Coincides a little bit better with the schedules. And so we answer any of your Amazon related questions here. And the first question on Instagram, we'll kick it off with how much hours per day do you guys work?
I mean, it's. I feel like you can really expand on this question, right? Like, let's kind of break it down in three different ways. Let's do it based on what you need to do at the beginning. Let's do it based on what we do now. And then let's do it based on what we could do now if we wanted to. I feel like that's a good way to break it down. So at the beginning, like, what would
Yeah.
you say as far as someone working?
Yeah, well, for a beginner, I think that, you really need to be working as much as you possibly can on your business. If you're starting a business in its infancy stages, like you need to cultivate that business and really prove the concept, and you prove the concept by generating revenue. And so if you're not actively putting in the work, the inputs on a day-to-day basis, you're never going to see the results. So like cut out the diversification, and just focus on one thing for like multiple months, if not years. And then you'll see, the fruits come from your labor. So for a beginner, to answer the first part of it, for a beginner, you need to be working like all the time. But like it really comes down to what you want out of this business. Like if you want a side hustle, then you can afford to put in side hustle hours. But if you want a full-time income, well, then you got to put in full-time hours. You got to make sacrifices, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, as far as what we do now, I mean, we unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, are very driven by like this is a very fulfilling thing to us. So we like to work. So I don't know. We work a lot. We work. I don't even know how many. I always say half day is 12 hours. So I worked a half day today. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, realistically, at this point, I mean, if you wanted to, you put the business on quiet mode, and you can just kind of let it ride. That's one thing that's great about wholesale is you have the replenishables and you're able to just reorder if you wanted to. We were away, and we were coming back on Monday, and you're like, wow, now I think about it, the only thing that we really have to do is POs, and we're like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, I think when you step away for a bit from the business, you stop like, trying to get so focused in the minutia. You focus, just kind of a little bit more on the business. And just, I think there's a lot of power that comes from not working, because now your brain is acting more creatively, and you have time to think about new ideas. Right. And so definitely taking breaks is important. But yeah, I mean, like we work for fulfillment now. Right. Like, yeah, we work for money, because the more we work, the more cash that our businesses generate. But it's like at the end of the day, we work for fulfillment,
Fulfillment by Amazon. That's crazy. Full circle.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the dad joke for the stream. Now we're done.
Fulfillment by Amazon. Yeah. Why don't we pop in here? So Fatima on YouTube is asking, basically, I'm working with a brand direct and they have some sellers from a decade. So how can I approach them and start the conversation about their brand presence and convince them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the same logic as those brands that you talk to that are like, our distributor network is so tight and we have, such a relationship. Like, everything comes down to making the purpose of your conversation be more important than their relationship with either those distributors or those sellers from a decade ago. And like, that's a tough thing to do. Like, it's a really, really tough thing to do. Honestly, some of the hardest things we've had to do in terms of our overcoming objections are overcoming past relationships. And so I think if you're coming from a place of like providing value, you're going to kind of be able to gauge if you're ever going to be able to overcome that relationship. But you have to have a stronger selling point than their relationships. And it can happen, but it's tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah, it is tough. I'll give you an example. It's actually fresh in my head because I had a conversation today with a brand, and like a lot, like people don't understand how long the sales cycle can be for like closing a brand direct account, no less brand exclusivity, right? Like that sales cycle from start to finish could take months and years, right? And so for this brand in particular, I've been in talks with them for a couple of years now. We're a reseller of theirs, and nothing's profitable. Like everybody's just losing money. And they have some big distributors specific in their industry on the listing. And for the first time today in about a year and a half, they started listening a little bit more to the benefits of exclusivity. And so like, I think it just goes to like, to the question here about how do you convince them, approach them. Like you have to tread lightly and just, coach them, and basically, like, the terminology we use is crawl, walk, then run. And that's literally what you have to do is like an infant. You have to just slowly, prove like kind of your worth over time. That can be done in many ways, from placing orders to providing value to helping them set up brand registry to, like, there's a million and one ways to provide value and build trust. And talking with them on the phone and, really cultivating that relationship. Because like you said, it has to override the ties with the distributors. Like, you're not just going to come in and, pitch some value and all of a sudden they're going to cut everybody else off. Like, they need the safety and the security. And the key is understanding and uncovering what their like real concerns are. Right? Like, today I uncovered that, well, we can't just cut everybody else off in exchange for not having like at least a minimum commitment of volume. Right? Okay, well, there's your motivation is we still want to make money. Like, you got to ask questions to uncover their motivations.
Yeah, because sometimes, especially like with the brand direct, it's a little different, but with the distributors, it's like, all right, well, our distributors spend $10 million a year. And you're like, what can you say to that at that point? So I think it's been one of the most difficult things to kind of overcome for us. But yeah, definitely pitch the value and then kind of gauge where they're at actually.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the size of the brand too, because like, we're not contacting brands that are, buying 10 million a year, like, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some brands that I've reached out to that have distributor networks that, are very vast. So Amazon might be like a smaller percentage of their total sales, but they might have sales off Amazon that exceed. Actually, for most brands, I think that their sales on Amazon are a small percentage comparatively.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they are.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah, most brands, Amazon, small percentage of sales, but like, you should still be targeting small to medium sized companies.
Yeah.
Transcending. I'm playing 4D chess.
Yeah. You're gonna have 800 monitors and then have nothing on there.
Flips. Yeah, Matt from Krubs Flips. Just a quick shout out to Matt. If you guys don't know Matt, give him a follow on Instagram. Was he Krubs Flips? Matt is a great guy. One of the best people.
He's the stunt double for Mr. Clean.
No, he's awesome. He's a great sales guy, helps us grow and scale. We got a question here on YouTube. Can you help with Keep Up Filters? Watching you from the UK.
Yeah, I think that, it'd definitely be good to actually link back. I mean, we'll go over it for sure. I think we can link back some lives where we went really in depth on it, as well as YouTube videos.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and link a YouTube video that covers that in depth. The Keep Up product filters. It's a little bit more granular. But yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. In setting your, just kind of conceptually, in setting your Keep Up product filters, like, it's based on revenue. So like, or rather than revenue, it's based on 3 criteria. You have the average selling price, like what is the product selling for in terms of price point over a period of time. You have the volume, right? Your monthly volume, and the 2 of those together is revenue. And then whether the brand is well represented or poorly represented on Amazon. And you can actually go all the way down to the bottom of the Keep Up product filters and check off if the brand has no A+ content. And if you target brands that have no A+ content, then immediately you're targeting brands that you could potentially provide value to.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really good about Keepa is you're able to do that with the content, because if you're in a brand direct model, that's a big selling point, because without that, you could provide more value, more ammunition.
Yep.
There's that video down below as well.
Yeah, and Ecom Owen on Instagram is asking, how do you learn running ads for brands and the whole advertising side so I can pitch it? And
Yeah,
he said, thank you guys. The content you put out is amazing.
appreciate you. Let's kind of address that in two different ways. I mean, first, like I'll address it by saying that you're going to learn as you do it in certain elements, right? But I mean, Brad says all the time, and like I say all the time, you don't need to know how to do everything. You just need to know how to pitch the vision. But whenever there's something that for me, like I don't understand, right? Because we're not experts at everything when we start, is if you outsource it, don't just turn a blind eye to it. Try to learn it a little bit. Try to understand the process a little bit, even if you're outsourcing it, so that next time you can come in and be a little bit more educated about it. So that's kind of how you learn, is from someone that knows more than you, but don't be afraid to outsource it, which is the second part, which I mean, Brad, you talk about that all the time. Pitch the vision.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to sell the vision to the brand. It's not always necessarily the value itself, but the vision of what that ties into. So, like, for instance, with advertising, right? Like, well, why is it important for brands to advertise on Amazon? Um, Ads increase sales. Great. But what is the greater meaning, and why does that tie into what the brand is looking to accomplish? So if the brand is looking to accomplish um, a stronger brand equity, or to showcase their brand mission, or to simply be there and have a presence, right? And secure digital real estate, then your focus may be brand ads, and you may want to run headline brand ads at the top of Amazon, regardless of if you're going to sell anything or not. Of course, you're going to sell, but like the main goal is to actually display the brand front and center to customers, similar to like an end cap at Walmart, right? A brand would buy that real estate at Walmart. Same thing on Amazon. They buy the real estate on Amazon.
Yeah, and more. I mean, we've talked with people that we deal with ads, and more space, more and more digital real estate on Amazon is composed of ads now. It's comprised of ads. That's the word I was looking for. Comprised of ads, where you have more and more sponsored products, which, if you're not competing in that landscape, your brand is probably falling behind a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and Jacob's asking, what does a work day look like for you guys? Well, I actually recorded a day in the life video that'll be coming out soon. But work day, yeah, pretty much staring at a screen for the better part of, I don't know how long.
Yeah, sometimes not even turning it on. Yeah, it's I mean, I was just thinking like the differences, because I'll be also recording that same exact video just from my perspective. Um and just like the differences, and like we're doing the same things, but I feel like it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that's really different is the time frame that you work and the time frame that I work. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, really what we're doing is, like, at this point in the game, is just really trying to focus on the most profitable brand direct relationships, grow those, cultivate those, move brands towards exclusivity, things that move the needle. If we could move three needles in a day, like that, like three wins, or accomplish three tasks that move the needle, like then shit's getting done. And so I try to focus, we really try to focus around that. Of course, like, I mean, this year, right? Like, we've been really trying to systemize and scale and build SOPs around things so that we can outsource and buy back our time. It's been a big thing.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I find in the day to day is to minimize interruptions. Like for me, a successful day is obviously you want some wins, right? But a successful day for me is minimizing interruptions and distractions and allowing me to focus on just the macro things, like Brad said. So if I can do that, then I consider that a win, which just seems simple, but I think when you're dealing with so many moving parts and addressing so many different things, it's a difficult task. And in order to get to that point, you have to do all those things like outsource.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But in the beginning, like when you're just starting, it might feel like you're doing everything, which is completely okay, right? You're placing the purchase orders, you're contacting the brands, you're sourcing the brands, you're paying for the orders, you're maybe even prepping the product, right? Which is like completely fine in the early stages, right? Um, you're going to be wearing all hats in the beginning, and that is completely okay. And, you know, like as you scale, knowing what to outsource can be a challenge, right? Like, how does somebody know what to outsource and when to outsource it as they start to grow? Like you're working on everything and you're like over your bandwidth and you're sourcing suppliers, you're contacting suppliers, you're doing everything, right? Like when does somebody know, maybe as a beginner, all right, it's time to outsource this to a virtual assistant? Well, what do I outsource?
Yeah, I think that there's a certain point at which your productivity hits a cap doing something like you're doing all the things, you're wearing all the hats in the business. I think your productivity hits a cap in terms of how much you can move the needle forward or how fast you can move the needle forward. And I think you have to start outsourcing when you get to that point, where your bandwidth is completely filled up. Because at that point you shouldn't, like, as much as we preach like you gotta work and it's important to actually work in the business. I don't think that anyone should work their entire life away because they chose to not outsource anything. You know what I mean? Like there's more efficient ways of doing it. And so I think that's the point for me at which you look at outsourcing, is when you're like, I can't move this any faster or more efficiently or grow any larger because I just don't have enough time. Ideally, you do it before you get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. More and more, like, I value my time. But
Oh yeah.
Jacob actually brings up a good point here. It's like outsource what you don't like. That's one good way to outsource. But also, spend some time, like you're working on something and then something interrupts you, and like take notice of that, right? What is that task that interrupt you? Is it replicable, right? Can it be done over and over again? Like, and then if it is, chances are it could probably be outsourced, right? And so then
Mhm.
you create an SOP around that, a standard operating procedure, which you just plug it into ChatGPT. It's really easy to use ChatGPT to create those SOPs. Create a little Loom video, right? Maybe a little 5-minute Loom video around the task, depending on what it is. And then from there, like you've now created a process. And when you do hire and train a virtual assistant, make sure to document and record all of that onboarding and training. Because when you do that, you're like, if your virtual assistant comes and goes, well, you've documented the entire training process. So now you can give it to somebody else so that you don't have to continually ride the hamster wheel.
Right. That's what I was going to say, is if you realize that you're taking on a new person is going to completely mess up your SOP needs to be clearer because it should translate from person to person.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we literally do that where we outsource, like, like we will outsource things to each other that we don't like. Like if there's something, like if it's like like a contract or something, like a written anything, I'm like, all right, it's all you. Like I out because I don't like it, so I outsource it to you. So like, just because sometimes I think not liking something makes you not efficient at it, right? Like if you don't like it, if you hate doing it, it would take me twice as long to do it as you would, or at least that's just what I tell you, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah, but like Matt said here, it's also like what you're not good at. Like, it's like
Mhm.
we got VAs that are doing that are better at doing things than us. You know, it's like I
Oh
don't
yeah,
want to, it's like why deal with that when you don't have to learn every single element or intricacy of the business, you know?
you shouldn't. I mean, in fact, it slows you down if you do, because our focus has always been, and which I mean, we're fortunate because it's what I think we're good at and what we like too. But our purpose has always been the revenue driving tasks, which is the calls and the outreach. That's the most important thing, and because that's what moves the needle forward and allows everything else to work. So if you're going to get good at anything within the business, I would get good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't need to be a natural born salesperson to get good at that, right? To get good at contacting brands. You know, like neither of us consider ourselves natural born people, but at the end of the day, it comes down to like you do something over and over again, you become an expert at it. You know, I don't care what it is. Like you spend thousands of hours doing something, you're going to become an expert at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting model too because it's a little different than your typical sales. So I think that even if you are like a natural born person, it might be a shift in thinking.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And so going off of that, like, why is it a shift? Like from traditional sales, like why do you say it's a shift from other forms of sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's it's an interesting model because you're not selling them on goods. You're selling them on the ability to purchase from them, right? So it's a complete uh, backwards type of mentality, and I think that you're not going to get the door slammed in your face as much as you would trying to telemarket somebody, right? So it's a little bit, I say,
Yeah.
easier in that
Well,
regard, right?
yeah, and so this is what I was actually going to reply to exactly what Matt just said is that we're selling the concept, right? We're not selling them like our product. We're selling them the concept of what's going on. You know what I mean? And
I mean, when
so
you say it like that, it seems like we don't do anything. You're selling on a concept is interesting. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah, you know, and so that's really the key is like selling that vision to the brand.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because there is such a disdain for the Amazon seller archetype that, like, on paper, what we're doing should not be difficult, but it is because there's been so much, like, the waters have been muddied so much by all of the bad sellers and people that are just destroying the brands and not handling things correctly, and it makes it much harder for the person who's actually trying to do a good job to come in to sell the concept because the concept is good. Like you're not trying to sell them on how you're going to drive their brand into the ground, right? Like you're trying to sell them on improving the brand and you're going to purchase while you're at it, right? So in theory, that should be easy.
Well, it's actually the best solution for the brand.
Oh yeah,
Like the sooner like people realize that if you're doing outreach to brands and you're constantly getting rejected, like try approaching it from an aura of confidence because like there's no better solution than that, right? Like you are literally paying the brand basically in guaranteed income, right? Because if you're the only one selling on Amazon, unless you go out of business, you're going to be buying from the brand. Um, and because of that, like you're also reinvesting into their brand. You're also like making a concerted effort to grow their brand, and they're just getting all the benefits without any of the costs. Like you're paying them to buy their products, and you're performing these services for them for free. You know, it really doesn't get much better than that for the brand. And if you could articulate that correctly, well, you can close a brand exclusive, right?
I mean, and
all
it
about.
contributes to like why the success I think follows. Like you don't need to be passionate about it necessarily, right? Like I could sell, phone cases and like I would not care. Like I have no nothing. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? And I think you can do that with this, but I think you're going to be way more successful in selling anything if you are passionate and you actually believe in it. And we truly like, even if we didn't believe this at the beginning, because like I don't know, like we've never really talked about this at the beginning. Like, were you like, yes, I know this is the most important thing. This is going to benefit the brand in the biggest way possible. Like, was that in your thinking?
I mean, I just think it's because we didn't understand it enough in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
like it's not that I didn't think that was the best thing. I just like we didn't have as detailed of an understanding as we do now. And when you
Yeah.
uncover these things and you do the process over and over again, even if you're a complete beginner watching this, like, you just got to put in the calls every single day, and make the source the brands every day. And so like one of the links I put in here was a YouTube video on how to find profitable products, exact method, right? Like go back and watch through that video because it's going to provide you with an exact sequence of how to find brands, right? How to find winning brands. And then once you're able to find winning brands, well, now it's about contacting those brands and reaching out to them to secure a wholesale account.
It's funny because at the beginning, I don't know that I'm very sure that there's brands that we could have pitched that would be exclusives that we didn't because we just didn't understand it. It's like you said. And like that's okay. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Like everyone is going to have those things that they're going to say, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. But it's an interesting concept because as you grow, you understand that this was actually not just the most beneficial thing for me as a seller, but the most beneficial thing for the brand as well. And you're like, why didn't I bring it up? But live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. James is asking here, do you guys work with international brands?
There are some brands that we work with that are international. Some have like US divisions. Other brands are purely, come from overseas. But we also work with like distributors who carry within the US and we buy from the distributor. So we're not doing any like direct importing from overseas. So we're either purchasing from the brand's USA presence or like a distributor who's in the USA and then distributes the products to us. So could definitely be opportunity in international brands.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and why is that for the most part that we're purchasing through those U.S. subsidiaries and that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of complications with importing goods from overseas, especially like nowadays with tariffs and everything. But there's a lot of complications with that that we don't really want to meddle in the affairs of or not meddle, like just play around with all the logistical complications of importing. It's a nightmare. Like you got to maintain all these different compliance things and customs regulations and whatnot. So it's like it's easier to just buy from the distributor.
Yeah, that's basically what I was getting at is the logistics of it. It's just overcomplicated,
Yeah, and so on Instagram, Alexander's asking, "Hi guys, how's everything going? You still reaching out to brands or working with existing brands?"
I mean, we're doing both. It's definitely tailored back a little bit, but we are still reaching out to brands. The opportunities there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the cold outreach is slowed down just, because we're like, if it's cold outreach, we're trying to focus on like higher caliber brands, but like these sales cycles are long. So a lot of it at this point in the game is just, following up, staying current, providing value, and focusing on some really high caliber brands that are in the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. How long did it take you guys before you became profitable?
Probably about one day. So this business model does not require investment. When you sell name brand products, you can make money on day one, because there's existing demand in the market, right? If I had to create a brand, do research and development, market it, grow it, and do all these other, manufacture it, right? If I had to do all those things, I wouldn't be profitable on day one. But because we started with arbitrage, retail arbitrage, which if you're not familiar is you walk into the retail store, you scan a product on the shelf, and you look at what it's selling for on Amazon in terms of price and sales volume. And then you look at what it's selling for in the store, and you're able to 2x or 3x your money on Amazon. And that's in the beginning how we snowballed it and scaled. And so on every sale, we're making money and profitable, right? So we're profitable from day one. And then we just snowballed that into wholesale and then repeated the same process for wholesale. So the business model, like whether it's arbitrage or wholesale, is really pretty much profitable on day one. But like, bear in mind that profitability does not always equal your cash flow. And so like it might, you might see how profitable you are as a business, but you might have no money in the bank, right? And that's just because you're reinvesting all your money back into inventory. And in this kind of a business model, it is intensive in terms of inventory. And so just really having your profitability and cash flow and financials dialed in as you scale is going to be really important for you.
Yeah, learning that at the beginning, something that I've always liked to give the, like the blind eye to, because I don't personally, I mean, I don't know, like it's good to be in touch with your numbers, but at the beginning, it was not something that excited me. Now it excites me because I'm like, we understand our business. We understand what we can make a change to make us more profitable, to, like knowledge is power, and we have the ability to understand the business now. And that's very valuable. But at the beginning, like I didn't care. Like did you care at the beginning? I was like, I don't even know if I like can do this, in the retail arbitrage days. It's like, I don't even know if I can make money doing this, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the very beginning, it's just about proving the concept, and I think that that's a hidden, like that's actually a good thing. Like, the people that are just, focused so much solely on the money, I think that could lead you down like, a hard path in the beginning. Right. At the end of the day, we get into this business model for probably, you want financial freedom. You want to make more money. You want to leave your 9 to 5. You want to support your family. You want to do these nice things, or maybe you just want a side hustle, right? With some an extra 2,000 to 3,000 a month, which by the way, you can do all of those things with this business model. And so, but in the beginning, try to focus, like if you're just starting bare bones from scratch, try to focus and immerse yourself into the process, because the process ultimately over the long term is what's going to generate you money and freedom, right? Because money is going to buy you the freedom. And so, Jacob,
yeah, what credit cards do you guys actively use to buy? It's kind of changed over the years, but we got our staples now.
Yeah, I mean, the Chase Ink Business Premier is the best credit card on the market. Hands down, no questions asked. And that's it. Like if you could literally just expand your credit with Chase, do that.
2% and then 2.5% cash back on bulk, unlimited.
Yeah. Very, very powerful credit card. You can, I mean, at scale, you can make thousands of dollars a month off that credit card with the cash back.
You sent me something the other day that was like a Robinhood card. It was like a Is it like 3% or something?
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
look
look
into it.
into the details of that. But it's something it's on my radar because I didn't look into the details of it. But that is interesting, right? 3% is that really 3%? If it is, that could be a game changer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, you know, keep getting some of the different chase cards, like the Sapphire Preferred, the all the inks, get all the inks, and then once you've maxed out all your chases, then move to American Express. American Express has higher limits, um, and so like cards like the Platinum, the Plum is good for you having that 60-day payback period, but you're not going to get any points on the card. But Amex is the higher limit company. Like if you really need those limits, Chase is going to cap you pretty hard, especially if you don't have a lot of credit. So it's really just about snowballing. Like, guys, I started this with a $2,000 Discover card. You know, now we have 6 figures on the 6-figure line of credit on the what is it? The Business Premier. You know, and so like just scalability and time is really what it is. It's all about.
Common objections I seem to be getting is that brands have a lot of unauthorized sellers. It's a big issue. It's a big issue. I mean, how do we normally look at that? I mean, we go from the supply chain. We were talking about this the other day. You know, it's like you got to control that as a brand.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's where it starts. The brand needs to get control over their distributors and who they're selling to, and determine who are the resellers on Amazon. You know, so go like you as a strategic partner, right? Go on Amazon and look at all the sellers that are selling it, and Amazon makes public the business names, the addresses, and share that information with the prospective brand, and be like, hey, you know, here's a list of all your sellers on Amazon, right? Do you recognize any of them? Do you recognize 50%, 75%? You recognize all of them, right? That's where it starts.
Yeah, and that is the way to do it. I mean, it's simplistic, but like that's the way to do it. You got to work backwards.
Yep.
All right. When did you guys start taking money out of the business for cash flow and personal expenses?
Yeah, so we started taking money out of the business when there was enough money to have on the sideline to reinvest into the business, but also then pull money for ourselves, right? So like it comes a point where it's all a balance, right? In terms of, I mean, I can tell you right now, it's not happening, or it shouldn't happen in year one. Like I always say, year one should be purely, you know, throw everything back into the business. But there comes a point where you want to pull money out of your business. I think that's very important that, you know, people go years without ever taking any money out of their business. And I think that's like really old fashioned way of thinking. I don't think it's bad, but like, you know, when you're working off third party platform risk, things like that, I think it is important to, you know, pay yourself, right? And definitely set aside funds into a business account for a rainy day. And it's, so a lot of like the way we do things is like we'll separate out cash into different bank accounts, like you know, an operating income account, you know, that gets pulled for expenses and whatnot, a savings, you know, for taxes, a savings for, you know, capital or profit inside the business, and like an owner's draw play basically. And so to bucket out your cash like that, it helps you see where your cash is going.
Yeah, and if you haven't read Profit First for e-commerce sellers, that's where that concept is from.
Yeah. Yep. Um,
Can be wrapping up here in about 5 minutes as well. So if we, you know, if there's any last minute questions, there's some other stuff in here, but you know, feel free to ask them.
yeah.
Jacob said 7-figure line of credit. Eh, not no, no
Not
7-figure line of credit.
getting there. Um, yeah, and so you can contact brands with like if you have an accent, like that's like no problem at all. You know, we've seen people who have been very successful who contact brands, and English is not their first language, and so it really it's just about focusing and honing in on the process and focusing on what you can provide these brands, right?
Yeah, you can be very successful. You know, don't let that be your uh, don't let that be a crutch. You know, like that is if you're providing the right value, you're going to be successful. You're picking up the phone, and that is more than most people do. And on top of that, you mentioned about getting no more Amazon sellers. Well, you know, we get no more Amazon sellers too, all the time. That's all there ever is as a response, right? It's just about what you say next, the ability to overcome that matters. But just keep pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you want to ask why? That should be your go-to question when they say no Amazon sellers. Can you help me understand the reason behind that? Right. Because that gets them talking. Or even validating that, right? No Amazon sellers. Well, that makes perfect sense. Completely understand where you're coming from. You know, we educate or we tell our brand partners the same thing, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Um,
When choosing a brand for wholesale, what's more important, the number of products they have or the sales volume of their top products? Just
well, yeah, I mean, it comes down to, I think it comes down to total revenue. I
yeah,
would prefer like to have less SKUs and higher selling prices, right? So that we could accomplish the goal in a more efficient way, right? The less SKUs we have to move, the less labor, the less headaches, the less time. But at the end of the day, it comes down to like, what is that total number? And so if you have the opportunity to focus on less SKUs and higher selling prices, that I believe to be is the best way to go.
that's why I like laughed at that because that was like a scary question to read because I like don't want to think about like if you told me you're like the brand has 1,000 SKUs, I'd be like I'm all set. You know what I mean? Because just the logistics of that is a lot. So I mean, sales volume of top products and just the more condensed you can get, in our opinion, the better you are because it eliminates all of the extra labor and prep and it's a lot easier to go that route. I don't want to deal with a ton of SKUs.
Yeah. No, it's a way more efficient way of skinning the cat. Like less SKUs, higher sales volume, higher caliber, higher prices, just everything about them. Like
Yeah.
easier clients, like everything like less is more, which is one thing
But
we have to learn over the
don't
years.
feel like you need to do that at the beginning though, because like you should not be trying to close $1 million account when you first start. If you're gonna focus on more SKUs, lower, lower sales volume for the brand as a whole, like do that, but as you scale, I think you become a little bit more inclined towards swinging for the fences a little bit more, or at least we have.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Any last minute questions here before we jump off? And if there's something we didn't answer for you, shoot us a message on Instagram
Or just
or on Twitter.
and comment on the videos too.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
that way everybody could see it.
Yeah.
We look at all those comments for sure. And a lot of you guys have questions, maybe you're thinking about asking them. Chances are the next guy watching has the same question, right? Like
Mhm.
this is like, we're able to share knowledge together here. And so that's where, we want to provide this platform to you guys is to just ask the question because somebody else probably has that same question. I could tell you right
Yeah.
now. Like, don't
Yeah.
think that question is a question that is like stupid, right? Because when you're learning something brand new and you're a complete beginner, like there is no question that's stupid. Like you're literally learning. It's like learning a new language.
Exactly. We're in this together to grow as a community, and let's touch on this last question in here, and will be it. How much would you recommend spending on your first wholesale deal?
Yeah, so I think a healthy amount of starting capital is two two to $5,000. I'm just laughing at Jacob's comment. Jacob, you're a character, man. No, but Dusk wholesalers, yes. So a healthy amount to start is 2 to 5,000, preferably more toward the 5,000 range. It's going to allow you to, invest more money, diversify it maybe across a few different SKUs so that you're not throwing 5,000 at one SKU. Despite what we said before, right? It still is in the beginning about risk mitigation and growth over time. And so if you could start with more, great. Just be weary because you don't have the skill set necessarily to back up large amounts of capital. And so, like, if you have 50,000, if you have 100,000, right? If you're working with that kind of funds, like, either you got to learn the business or somebody else. You got to be the investor in somebody who's doing the business, right? Like, somebody's got to know what they're doing in terms of buys because you could blow away 50 grand.
Yeah.
Easily.
My recommendation, what I always say on this topic, is only your first buy, spend what you'd be comfortable losing. Not that you're going to lose all of it, but if you'd be comfortable losing that amount of money, then you should be comfortable spending it in the beginning. Because, like Brad said, you don't have the skill set to back it up. So that's kind of my rule of thumb.
Yeah. And even so, just getting into the business model, like, even if it's still it's not a gamble, right? You're looking at data, you're looking at statistics behind you. And so,
Right.
that being said, just source the suppliers, contact them, do the work, and tap into our lives. And we'll see you next week, 6:00 Tuesday. All right.
See you then.
All right. Thanks for joining, guys. Peace out.
Later, guys.